welcome to the PreSnap Podcast presented by LineStar. All things fantasy football with a sprinkle of sports betting. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. This is your Thanksgiving fantasy projections outlook for today. We also have your touchdown calls, your prop bets, and your game picks. A whole feast, if you will, in the theme of Thanksgiving. We've got your projections. That's kind of like your main course, your turkey. We've got the touchdown calls and the prop bets, maybe like stuffing, mashed potatoes, and then, of course, those game picks. That's your apple pie right there.
That's the apple pie?
That's the
dessert?
Right there. For our game slate, the games we're looking at are the Bills at Lions, Giants at Cowboys, and Patriots at Vikings. Three pretty good games. Tyler, on Thanksgiving, what are you most thankful for about this NFL season?
This NFL season? Can we say the Jets?
You are thankful for them.
I'm just trying to make you happy. Make you thankful for another reason. Maybe
well,
your co-host.
I am thankful that head coach Robert Saleh finally acknowledged that he is not going to acknowledge Zach Wilson as the starting quarterback for this weekend. Maybe we can just move on from that. We'll see.
You know, it's been a really good season. It's been fun to watch, and I'm excited that we have some good games to watch this year for Thanksgiving.
We do have some good games, and it is important to keep in mind at this time last year, the Cardinals were 9-2. Mm-hmm. The Cincinnati Bengals were 6-4. They were in fourth place in the AFC North, and they had just come off a brutal home loss to the Browns where they lost by like 30 points or something. We know how that story turned out. Cardinals got bounced out in the wild card round, and the Cincinnati Bengals took it all the way to the Super Bowl. So anything can happen. We've still got a lot more football to go.
The Cardinals looked pretty bad coming down the end of the season there. So
yeah, they did. They lost, I believe, 4 or 5 straight down the end of the stretch. So anything can happen.
Yeah. They lost D-Hop, and they started losing.
And then on Monday Night Football last night, we saw the Cardinals get destroyed by the 49ers. Yes. Got to listen to me for my game picks, folks. Stay tuned for our game picks for Thanksgiving Day. First things first, though, we've got to get to our daily fantasy projections for Thanksgiving Day. Let's start off with our quarterbacks. What do you know? Topping off our quarterbacks list for today is Bills quarterback Josh Allen, who is putting up 293 yards per game, which ranks second. And yeah, I know he struggled with little turnover issues over the past couple games, but he did clean that up in the last game against the Browns. No interceptions. And going up against a Detroit Lions team that ranks 25th in defense DVOA. So a favorable matchup for Josh Allen. Maybe he needs a little nice cakey type matchup today for Thanksgiving.
And he's definitely getting that. A simple flow chart pretty much all season long has been what quarterback is playing Detroit, play them. So we have the best quarterback playing him. So I think you really got to play them, play Josh Allen today.
On the other side of that, we've got Detroit quarterback Jared Goff, who is averaging 244 yards per game. He's still ranked 7th in DVOA among all the quarterbacks, which I was a bit surprised to look at. Granted, he does have some nice weapons to throw to, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, which helps him, stay in the conversation of decent offenses this season. Going up against a Buffalo defense, though, that is pretty good. They rank 3rd in defensive DVOA. What do you make of Jared Goff for a daily fantasy perspective? And are you taking crazy pills to put him in your lineup?
So this game is just way more high scoring than all the rest of them. Goff is super cheap, and it allows you to get, players from this game, get more players from this game at way less ownership. Also, Buffalo has allowed a lot of 300-yard passers. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown's in a really good spot. Goff is super cheap. Probably not too many people are going to be there, so it is really kind of an upside play here. It's risky, but it could bring home the bacon.
There you go. You got to fade the field sometimes. Let's take a look at our running backs. And the first running back we're looking at is Dallas Cowboys running back Tony Pollard, who's been absolutely crushing it the last few games. He had 189 total yards against the Minnesota Vikings. He also had 2 touchdowns in that game as well. fourth straight game with over 109 total yards. He ranks fourth right now in DVOA among all running backs. Yeah, Zeke ranks eighth, though, too. So the running game for the Cowboys is kind of starting to hit its stride, going up against the New York Giants, who rank 27th in defense DVOA. Coming off of that game against the Vikings, I think the Cowboys put everyone in the league on notice that they are an offense to be reckoned with.
They made a statement, that is for sure. And it seems like Prescott getting healthier, he's starting to throw the ball a little bit more, that offense coming around. Now, a lot of people are going to see this and be like, well, Zeke's playing, second game back off injury. Why would you want to play him? But I think Pollard is still going to be the lead guy here. Zeke coming back last week, only 4 days rest. He had a big brace on. That brace is still going to be there. And with that limited rest, I don't know if they would really trust Zeke carrying the load like he normally would. I think Pollard's going to be the RB1 for this game for him.
And another running back that is also a great pass-catching back as well is Patriots running back Ramondre Stevenson, who's garnered the praise of Bill Belichick as just being an awesome running back this season for the Patriots, and for good reason. He's averaging 92.7 rush and receiving yards per game. Against the Jets, he had this unbelievable play where it was 3rd and 16. He gets a little 2 or 3 yard pass, and he runs for a first down. He's just a human pinball that can absolutely make anything happen once he gets the ball. And going up against a Minnesota Vikings defense that ranks 18th in defensive DVOA. What do you make of his spot for today?
Yeah, I think the Vikings are going to come out a little upset, a little embarrassed from their last game. They're really going to want to take it to the Patriots here. And if the Patriots get down, there's going to be a ton of dump offs to Stevenson. It gives you a really great floor. We know he has a good rushing ability already and does well in the red zone, so he can get the touchdowns. So I really like Stevenson's floor here with a really good chance of a ceiling play in this game. So I like Stevenson once again, and a little sleeper pick. You can take Harris too. He'll be lower owned and a lot cheaper there.
Well, there you go. Some nice picks there at running back. How about wide receiver for Thanksgiving Day? Who's going to give us some gifts of receptions? Let's start off with Stephon Diggs. You know he's going to come up with some big catches. 103 yards per game. That ranks 3rd in the NFL, going up against the Detroit Lions, who rank 19th in DVOA, versus wide receiver ones. What do you make of Diggs' spot for Thanksgiving Day?
I think if you are taking Josh Allen, you got to take Diggs too. Diggs is in an amazing spot. He's been crushing it all season. I would go back to him this year. Detroit, both wide receiver 1 and 2, Diggs and Davis are in a great spot. So I like both of them a lot, especially with this total. One thing that we've seen with some of these small 3-game slates is when you're stacking a quarterback or a game, you kind of want to overstack and just hope one game goes crazy. And so I don't mind taking, say, Diggs and McKenzie and maybe even Knox with Josh Allen.
So another stacking option then, we had Jared Goff in our quarterbacks. How about Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of the underrated receivers in the NFL, averaging 66 receiving yards per game. Great option. Going up against the Dallas Cowboys defense that, yeah, they're pretty good. Ranked 8th against wide receiver ones. What do you make of his spot from a daily fantasy perspective?
Going against the Buffalo Bills defense there.
Buffalo Bills defense that ranks 8th.
Yes.
Thank you.
No problem. I just wanted to make sure we corrected that. So he has just crushed it all season long. I think he's still underpriced. He is a wide receiver 1. And over the last 5 games, wide receiver 1s versus Buffalo has averaged 26.4 DraftKings points. At Amon-Ra St. Brown's price, getting an average like that is just too good. You got to go for it, I think. I think he is an excellent receiver. I think he's also on the caliber of the guys that have done that. So I love him.
All right, so what other receivers are we looking at for today in fantasy?
I think we could go Jacoby Myers for New England. I think New England he's pretty much their only go-to receiver. Then Darius Slayton. Wan'Dale Robinson is going to be out again this week. Unfortunately, dude just cannot stay healthy.
Those Giants are even more decimated this week.
Yeah.
After last week's game.
And Slayton's back to being pretty much the only guy in town. I don't count Galladay as really being there because even when he is healthy, he's not really playing. And then if you want to take some kind of stabs, Noah Brown, Isaiah McKenzie.
All right. Let's get to our tight end position, and we're going Dallas Cowboys in this one. Dalton Schultz, who's averaging 50 receiving yards over the last 4 games. Now, he kind of hadn't really been a factor early in the season, but he's come on as of late, going up against the Lions, who are 22nd in pass defense DVOA versus opposing teams' tight end. What do you think about Schultz?
Yeah, so Schultz is in a good spot here. Not only that, he's also the safety blanket for Dak Prescott. And we're talking about a tight end here that was, I think, the tight end 3 or 4 last year in fantasy. And he's finally kind of showing that again with Prescott getting healthier, Dalton Schultz getting healthier as well. So I really like it. I think his price is just kind of too cheap for the value that it gives you.
And let's go to our defenses now. And you're liking Dallas.
I mean, after that performance last week, it's hard not to.
The Vikings 3 points and put up 40 on offense. Yeah. It's a nice day at the office.
I actually don't mind the Giants either as the pay down option. But Dallas is, I think, in the best spot here, D-wise.
So some nice gifts there for you for Thanksgiving. Lots to be thankful for in daily fantasy. We hope you give you some tips that can make you even more thankful for watching us here on YouTube. If you're watching us, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and sign up for those notifications as well. And all of that information is available to you on the LineStar app, linestarapp.com. Check it out for our lineup optimizer, all the information you could possibly need to dominate in daily fantasy, as well as some prop bets. And that is where we're going for our next segment, touchdown calls of the game. Thanksgiving edition of touchdown calls. Tyler, where are you going for an anytime touchdown on Thanksgiving?
I'm going with Amon-Ra St. Brown. 4 of the last 5 wide receiver ones have got a touchdown versus Buffalo. I think he's going to do it again. Detroit will likely have to throw a ton this game. And if they're going to be throwing a ton, it's going to be going to Amon-Ra. So I think he's getting in the end zone.
I'm also going to a wide receiver in this one, specifically one of the ones you mentioned in your fantasy projections for today. I'm going Bills wide receiver Stephon Diggs, who is always reliable for a touchdown. He's got 8 touchdowns on the year. That ranks 3rd. 17 red zone targets. That ranks 2nd among all wide receivers. He's got that agility speed combo that will make him a problem for this Detroit Lions defense that ranks 29th in pass defense DVOA. And they're also 26th in opponent red zone touchdown percentage. Give me Diggs for an anytime touchdown. Hopefully we'll see a lot of scoring this Thanksgiving.
I hope so. At least
so you can sit down and, with your... After you've had all your turkey, just kind of hang out and enjoy some nice football games.
Well, unfortunately, it is Patriots-Vikings is the last game. So
I don't hate it, though.
Be a ton of scoring there.
I don't hate that game.
I don't hate the game. It's interesting. Belichick always has a way to make the game interesting.
Yeah.
Bills-Lions is the most exciting one.
Yeah.
Even though it might be easily Bills win.
Yeah.
There's going to be the most offense.
We'll get to our game picks in just a moment. But first, we've got to do our prop bets for Thanksgiving. Where are you going for a Turkey Day prop?
Josh Allen over 290.5 passing yards. Line star projection is 320. He's hit the over in 6 of 10. And there's just simply the rule. You use players versus Detroit. So we're going with the best quarterback in the game.
I'm going with Patriots wide receiver Jacoby Myers over 51.5 receiving yards. Myers is averaging 64 receiving yards per game, and he's hit the over in 6 of 8 games this season. He had 52 last week against the Jets, who are 6th in defensive DVOA. And going up against the Minnesota Vikings this week, who are 26th in pass defense DVOA versus wide receiver ones, one of the underrated wide receivers in the NFL right now, Jacoby Myers, and they will get him the ball in this one. He's going to go over that. 51.5. Count it. You can also get it on Underdog Fantasy. It is available. I just put it in this morning. Make sure you check that out at Underdog Fantasy. If you use our promo code LineStar, you can get up to $100 of your deposit matched. Just make sure you're using our promo code. Link is below to that. That is for new users. Make sure to lock it in and stay tuned for our prop shows. We're coming out with a prop show later this week that will have all of the best bets on Underdog Fantasy and Prize Picks as well. So make sure you subscribe to our channel and sign up for those notifications so you know when we're coming out with those. Especially the lines move a lot in that, so we want you guys to lock those bets in right when we come out with our videos. All right, now it's time for our game picks here. Let's go through the slate, shall we? Starting off with Giants at Cowboys. The Cowboys 9.5-point favorites in this one. Tyler, where are you going in this game?
I think 9.5 is too much, so I think Giants cover that. They could backdoor win that game too, but I would expect Cowboys win.
All right. I'm actually taking the Cowboys, but I think that they will cover that. Last time they faced them, they sacked Daniel Jones 5 times in that game. They won at 23-16. They're coming off a 40-3 win over the Vikings. They finally found that stride on offense that we've kind of been waiting for. They had the pieces there. They're starting to put it together. And the Vikings are the NFC North leaders, so it's not like they just beat like the Bears or something. But Giants, they're already banged up, and now they're even more so. They had 5 players ruled out in their loss to the Lions. The injury report is now longer than a CVS receipt.
It's pretty long.
It's pretty long, right? Yeah. All right, Patriots, Vikings. Vikings are favorites, 2.5-point favorites. What do you think about this one, Tyler?
I got to go Vikings here all the way. I think they cover and they win.
Ooh, this is one I agonized over just a bit, and I'm going with the Patriots money line plus 126 in this one. Yeah, I just think they beat the Vikings just straight up. Pat's defense is good. They rank #1 in defensive DVOA, and Belichick is an absolute mastermind at being able to confuse opposing quarterbacks. Who's the opposing quarterback in this one? Kirk Cousins, who does not have the best record in prime time.
Yep. I knew
It
you were
is a
going there.
known fact that he is 10-19 in primetime games. Just hasn't been able to cut it under the bright lights of Thanksgiving Day games. I don't know if he's going to be able to handle that Belichick defense. Also, the Vikings starting left tackle Christian Darrisaw is out with a concussion, and that's actually a really big deal. He's one of the best young left tackles in the game right now, and I think that will be a huge factor in this game. So I'm going with the Patriots to get the win over the Vikings in this one. I don't think they're going to get, it wasn't going to be a get-right game for the Vikings.
Yeah.
I thought about it. I wanted to.
Yeah.
I
we'll see.
I wanted to see Kirk Cousins in some chains on Thanksgiving, doing a little victory dance, but
I do think the Vikings have overperformed a little bit through this first half of the year. But I think they'll come out a little upset. A little fired up. They have a lot of weapons. Patriots could take out 1 or 2, but one of the other ones will still get them. I
mean, to your point, too, the Patriots offense hasn't, in their game against the Jets. Granted, the Jets defense is really good. So, that game was just atrocious to watch in general because you had 2 quarterbacks that were subpar. I think the Patriots get it together this week. Vikings, to your point as well, they did have the lowest DVOA of any team that was 7-1 prior to their loss against the Cowboys.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
And so it was almost like we were waiting for something to kind of catch up to them in terms of the numbers. They were telling us they weren't as good as maybe their record indicated, and sure enough, the Cowboys beat them by 37. That's what happens.
But sometimes a team just has their number, and Cowboys had them.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Browns when I was looking at that stat earlier when I was talking about the Cincinnati Bengals last year. And they had a very explosive offense, and they were kind of like boom or bust. And then they just hit their stride at the right time at the end of the season, and look what happened.
Yeah, I think the Bengals offense is much better, though, than the Cowboys.
Let's go Bills-Lions. The Bills are 9.5-point favorites in this one on the road in Detroit. Who you got?
Bills Mafia. Bills Mafia takes it.
All right. I got the Lions to cover in this one. Okay. After losing 6 of 7 games, the Detroit Lions, one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now, they've won 3 in a row. Dan Campbell's going to get the boys fired up on Thanksgiving. You think they won't be pumped to play at home in this one?
They will be pumped.
It just reminds me, Dan Campbell likes to feast, and not just on turkeys on Thanksgiving. He likes to feast on kneecaps. Don't you remember his famous quote in his press conference where he said, when you knock us down, we're going to get back up. When we get back up, we're going to, what does he say? Bite a kneecap.
Yep. I've been all about Detroit lately. They've been my underdog pick back or over and over again.
Yeah. Well,
and,
your picks today for daily fantasy
off.
is Goff and Amon-Ra. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just think there's by far the most offense in this game. I think they could keep it close enough to cover, but we'll see.
I hope they cover. I think that would be a fun game if they
cover. It's going to be a real
great.
fun game. And if that's the case, you'll want to just stack that game and barely have anything of anybody else.
There you go. Your daily fantasy advice, your prop bets, your touchdown calls got you squared away for Thanksgiving. Make sure you have a nice Thanksgiving. Enjoy the time with your family, not just playing daily fantasy. You can play that too, but also enjoy the games as well. Good luck in all your sports betting and your fantasy. We will see you guys next time. Be sure to stay tuned for our props videos and our Sunday preview. We'll see you next time. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, guys. Bye.